So thank you all for coming today, and again, thank you all for having me. It's kind of a tough act to follow with what Tariq said and what Abdallah said. So I'll try to fill in some of the gaps that come from my perspective of really trying to do what they're talking about. Sheikh Mohammed, God bless him. I love the man, incredible leader and a futurist. And really, it wasn't enough just to say, I want to create the DFA and the Dubai Future Foundation and the Museum of the Future. But the real big idea behind it was that he said that 1,000 years ago, this part of the world was a center of innovation, creativity, and technology. And I want to bring that back. And so he committed $1 billion to creating the Dubai Future Foundation, whose mandate was to create the platform to support the way of growth to the future again. So I work for the Dubai Electricity and Water Authority, which is a monopoly. I'm always happy to say that because it's kind of a funny situation for us to be in where technically I don't have to innovate. If you don't like my service, you're stuck with me. I always joke when I say if you don't like it, you can unplug. But not if Sheikh Mohammed is your CEO, chairman, and let's say KPI manager. And we've had the privilege of being part of this journey, which is this experiment. And the team at the DFA, mashallah, they're really amazing in that they're always ready to figure out how to do it better. I like to tell everyone that I meet that even the DFA is a startup. It's not one of those things where everything is figured out. And my work has allowed me to meet with many different accelerator programs, different investors in startups. And one of the things that is consistent is that no one has it figured out. And I think this is where we have an opportunity for us to realize that in some way, all of us kind of look like this. I would actually take this image a step further and I would put an Avenger on there. And that's what he's working with. And this wonderful turtle, and I love turtles, by the way, this is the old way of doing business. This is the old thinking. This is the processes. This is the GQP forms and your BMS systems and whatever the heck other thing you guys use in your organization. This is unfortunately the engine which you're running. So it doesn't matter how ambitious you want to be, you still have to deal with certain realities that you face. When I started in this role, I didn't know what an accelerator was. I think innovation was something that everyone kind of uses very loosely. And I thought this was something unique to being a monopoly and being a government that we dealt with this incongruence between what we want to accomplish and the system which we're running. I'm part of a global accelerator where I work with other utilities, and I found that no, we're not alone. It's very much this Me Too thing. Yes, it takes us 3 months sometimes to process a payment. It takes us time to help the finance people. Like I had to talk with my CFO to say, no, we don't actually have bank guarantees and we don't have any performance bonds, but we need to pay the startup 75% up front for a pilot because they don't have the money and they need to be able to manufacture solar panels in this case. So you deal with a lot of resistance to change. And I think one of the easiest way to kind of bring this home to you is New Year's resolutions. How many of you in the audience has ever had New Year's come around and come up with a New Year's resolution? Show of hands, right? And show of hands, how many of you that had set these New Year's resolutions have actually consistently adopted that new habit and behavior throughout the year? Because I'm not one of them. I'm not gonna lie. Because when you come about bringing about change, what you end up finding is that all your old systems and your old habits and your environment supports the old way of thinking. So you're walking in with this new way I want to live my life, but then you're walking into your old environment, and the old environment is powered by this. And you're like, no, 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 we have to do everything quickly. But someone's like, no, 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 we have these processes and procedures. And this is where, going back to what Tariq said, people skills, going back to what Abdallah said, this passion and motivation. Yes, in this place, people can be crazy. If you come to my space at the DEWA, We have Star Trek, you know, little 3D printed pencil holders and stuff like that. We can be corny and geeky, and that's great. But then oftentimes we have to go back to the reality, which is our head office, and people do things in a very, very different way. So really, I think it comes down to realizing that if you're struggling with change, you're not alone. When it comes to dealing with startups, I've always been, and I still am, in defense of the little guy. I want to make sure that being a big government entity, our departments don't bully the little guy. However, I've been burned by the little guy too, okay, or little girl in this case. But yeah, it's been situations where they overpromise and underdeliver, and then I'm kind of left with my neck out, like defending this company, and then they end up not delivering. And I think sometimes people don't respond to emails because they don't know how to say, oh, I'm still working on this. I don't know the answer. So I have to like coach them, guys, even if you don't know the answer, just say something. Give me something. You know, don't not respond. Radio silence is not a good thing. So it's a learning process, and it's a thing where I need to also discuss with my team that, guys, they're startups. It's their first time to do this. We need to be understanding. We need to be compassionate. But we also need to be able to make sure that a failure in one project doesn't affect the future, because many people are skeptical. The thing that we have working in our favor is that this is a mandate by the government. Every 6 months, there is a pilot project. It's a very aggressive schedule when you think about it. To say that two strangers are suddenly, in the span of 6 weeks, going to decide if they can do business together or not, and then in a span of 2 weeks after that, to start working on the scope and the payment terms and everything. It's very aggressive when you think about in a private setting as well as in a government organization setting. So far, so good. I mean, I think we're doing okay. We're not there yet, but again, there it's constantly this moving target. And I want to say to all of you here, whether you're investors or you're entrepreneurs, that don't expect the government to do everything for you. And one of the things I tell my startups is that before you decide that Dubai is a place that you're going to work, you need to go and assess the market. Really find out, is this something that makes sense to you? Don't assume that because you come out here that people are going to be throwing money at you. If you want people to throw money at you, go to Silicon Valley, like there's plenty of money. But it's really just about understanding, does it make sense to be here? And does the business model make sense to you? I think sometimes startups, when they come and they join the program, they maybe forget a little bit about that you have to hustle. And that's something which I'd like to suggest also. Being part of this program is just the first step. It's a platform. It's great for PR. It's great for advertising. But you still need to do the work to get people excited about your solution. So Tariq gave me some talking points. Let's see. I think basically the only advice I'd leave everyone with is that when you look about how an organization tries to change, the same challenges and difficulties that they will face is the same challenges you would face when you're trying to stick to that New Year's resolution. I'm going to wake up every day at 4:30 in the morning, or I'm going to meditate twice a day for, 30 minutes or 40 minutes. So it's one of those things where the environment plays a big role, and that's kind of the environment in many of the big organizations. And so just keep persevere, keep going, and know that if you're doing it for the right reason, eventually, if it doesn't work here, eventually someone will make it succeed. Thank you so much for listening. And my details are in the back. Tariq can give you my contacts if you have any questions or have any future insights and ideas you'd like to share. Thank you so much. Take care.